All right, brother. Great job today. Just because you missed your lesson doesn't mean I'm not going to give you that lesson you missed. The idea is you're not going to learn how to play an instrument in 3 lessons or 4 lessons. This is kind of like a 2-month at least. I've had some students that catch on around the 3rd week that just jump into it, and I've had some students that take 6 months, but they rock out. It's a lot of knowledge and a lot of information. So right now, I'm just going to do a quick recap on what we have, and I'm going to start it off with something super valuable, how to tune. So now I'm in tune. The idea is this note is going to be a G for me. This note is going to be a D, then I'm going to have a G, then a B, and then a D again. So watch me here. I got a high G, low G. I got a low D and a high D. So those double Ds and those double Gs are right there. I also have a B note. Now that B note is my 2 string, which means my high D, the highest string, the furthest away from your nose on the other side of your fretboard, that's going to be your D string. When I go up that entire string, if I go up this way, I like to call the notes sharp. When I go down, I like to call the notes flat. So if I had a D, I would go from a D to a D sharp. Now it's also a C flat, but I'm not going to say that. I'm actually just going to play the note that I'm going true. So I've got this D. When I go sharp, it's a D sharp or an E flat, but I'm just going to say it's a D sharp, not a C sharp. So D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. After I get all the way up to the D, that's a full octave, meaning I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minor seconds. Now a minor second is a half step. It's the distance between a fret and the fret right above it. Do, 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 do. You ever see Jaws? That's just a half step movement of minor seconds. When we go a major second, we go from a 1 note and we skip a half step and we go to a whole step. So a D to a E is a whole step. So D to a D sharp, half step, minor second. It's a semabrile that. That full one that we do is a whole step. When we go 3 notes, that's called a minor third. Open, first, second, third. So we've got a open note to a first fret is called a minor second. Open note to a second fret is called a major second. Open note to the 3rd fret is called a minor third. Open note to the 4th note is called a major third. So when I have this note to this note, D to its obvious F sharp is my minor third. When I go all the way up, I get my 5th at the 7th fret for an A. But I digress. If you go through each one of these strings, which one day I suggest you should, you'll see that the lowest string, the thickest string, the 2 string, D, has the same notes as the top one. So when you're doing runs, you sometimes have like... I like to use them because my chords flip-flop. F, D, G, E, A, B, A, B, and all I'm doing is keeping these bookends right here and then moving the shape at which these fingers are. Back and forth, back and forth. We'll get to that later, but what I'm trying to explain is playing the banjee isn't as hard as we make it out to be. We only need to learn 7 chords major, 7 chords minor, and then you get to choose to infiltrate those chords with diminishes and augmenteds. That's all the chords. Well, what's a chord? A chord is a triad. A triad's made out of 3 individual notes. In the key of G major, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. 7 notes make up do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So when we've got G, we skip our next note. We have our B, we skip our next note, and we get D. G, B, D makes a major triad. Check it out. Here's a D, here's a G, here's a B, and here's a D. So when I play the banjee open, I get a G major. There's certain layers of what we do that's always standard. So like a standard lick for me would be to go G to C to D to C. Why? The progression's super relative. The chords sound great together. So the 2 chords that you know for sure are a G major and a C major is the chord of the day. So it's going to be open, playing the lowest string at the second fret with the second finger. So your middle finger is going to be on the second fret on the thickest string, the D string, second fret. It's going to make an E note because we have a D open, first fret D sharp or E flat, second fret E note. We're going to hold that E note, play the G string open right above it, so that third string is going to be played open. Our second string, the B string, we're going to play at the first fret to get a C note, because if we have a B, B, C, if we sharpen just that B, we can call it a B sharp, but we don't. It's silly. It's the same reason why I don't call a B a C flat. So when we play this C note, this E note have the open G, I'm going to throw this E note on top with my bookends, and that gives me C major. So work on having the fingers being pointy on this. Super pointy. You don't want the back fat of your fingers smacking the fretboard, or else you're going to mute strings you don't want to mute. For our song that you chose as wanting to learn how to play the banjo, it has a melody that has a kind of like a back and forth jamboree feel. Now this can be considered two different time tempos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is double time, so it's more like a 4/4/8 feel, but we can also go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. But it's best suited to count this in 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So with the melody, we've got our middle finger over here on the right hand picking out that high D string. D, 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 D. So how many notes was that? I believe it was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it was 4. And then on our fifth one, we're going to play our second finger, second fret on the highest string, the one that's furthest away from you, that D string, giving us an E note. We're going to immediately take that note off, and we're going to play a C note at the first fret on the B string, the second string, the B, B, C, C sharp, D. But we're not going to play that middle note. We're going to go directly from the C to the D. The whole thing's going to sound like this. Middle finger playing the D, 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 D. Middle finger playing that E, E. Off, middle finger, first finger on the right hand playing the B string at the first fret, up to the D. Should be a whole step. Because it's a whole step from the C to D, you're going to skip a finger, skip a fret. Here's what it looks like slow. Here's what it looks like fast. This is called claw hammer. Just a couple rolls in there with some claw hammer. We can go over that and get you up to speed, but starting off a song like that just has this G, 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 C, C, G. Start off by doing a downstroke. G, 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 C, C, G. So that's downstroke, 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 downstroke. Now notice I've got G, 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 C major, G. So our C major, as we built earlier in this video, is exactly what you're going to play there. If you want to record yourself going G, 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 C, C, G, record that 4 or 5 times, then go back, play over yourself doing D, 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 E, C, G, 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 D, D, C, C, D, 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 E, C, C, B. Make your own melody line over the top. Next week when we get together, we're going to discuss the actual melody line and get us some of this, some authentic little licks that you're going to be able to take home and play on your own. It's good seeing you today, buddy. Cannot wait to see you next week. Aloha.